I loved it. I just thought it was earthy. The music was incredibly, of its time. Hippie music like Elephant's Memory, and then of course you've got Nilsson. For me, it had everything.
Hello and welcome to Chaps Out Culture, the companion podcast where I invite my guests to recommend their favourite LGBTQ+ inspired art, music, literature, film, theatre or TV. Essential queer culture that celebrates who we are.
Hello and welcome to Chaps Out Culture, and I'm joined again by my guest, Jonathan Welford, and he was on Chaps Out asking me the questions, turned the tables on me to find out my coming out story. On this episode of Chaps Out Culture, he's going to be asking me about my cultural recommendations, so let's have a listen.
So, what would be your little bit of queer culture to recommend?
I watched the odd thing like My Beautiful Laundrette and all these kind of things growing up, but there wasn't really anything that like a new thing that I'd watched that's like a revelation. The thing that I always sort of still say is my favorite ever film is Midnight Cowboy, the John Schlesinger film, and that for me was just it's not necessarily I wouldn't say it was a gay film necessarily, but it's the fact that there's the relationship between the characters in it.
There is emotional depth in that.
Yes, there's a love between these two men who are kind of there. They need each other. This sort of foolish hick from down the coast or whatever, and and then this streetwise Ratso Rizzo, Dustin Hoffman, and I still cut my peppers like he does into his little pan over the stove because he hasn't got a chopping board. When you haven't got a chopping board, there's bits in there that just absolutely stick with me. But it's just this guy comes up, the Midnight Cowboy comes up, and he's there to make his fortune and be a bit of a playboy and make loads of money from all the women. And all he manages to do is sleep with the wrong women, and then ends up getting blowjobs in the cinema or whatever. And it's all just a bit sad and dismal. So it's not a great depiction of gay life. But I always I loved it. I just thought it was earthy. The music was incredibly, of its time. You've got all these kind of real sort of this sort of hippie music like Elephant's Memory, and then of course you've got Nilsson, Everybody's Talking, and all that kind of stuff. So the music's amazing. I bought the soundtrack even, but back in the day.
Well, I think with that movie, the soundtrack really does it elevates it.
Yes.
Otherwise, it could be just a really, really just grim,
brilliant, bleak. Yeah, I mean the bit where they're really coming down when there's this sort of woman, and she's sort of playing with a mouse in the hair thing, and there's all this child with it's like a really bad trip.
Mind trip.
Oh, it's awful. So there's all those moments that are just dark as like a Billy Liar or something where but it does have the music just to sort of take it out of that, and then you've got the Florida fantasy where they're all running around on the beach and it's all just like this dream where they're having a good time and all the women love them and fantasy sequences. For me, it had everything. It has everything in it, including my favourite thing I always like to say is like a sad ending, because I think that started with Time Bandits. I like an ending that's dark.
I just didn't like Time Bandits. So but then again, I am not a Monty Python. I am not, and
Right.
40 Towers just drove me insane.
Right.
But then again, I did probably channel my Basil 40 when I ran a pub, because running a pub is horrible.
Yeah.
And drunk people never do what you want them to do.
No.
So, would you like my recommendation for a film?
Oh yes, please. Yes.
Okay, right. I have spent a lot of time. I used to live in Germany for a while. I lived in Berlin, and I spent a lot of time out there. And Germans do actually make some really good comedies. And there's two gay comedies which German, and you can buy them with a subtitle, so you don't have to learn German or anything like that. One is called Regular Guys. Now that is it is a comedy. A cop loses his girlfriend, his flat, goes out, gets drunk, and loses his suitcase in a random thing, and wakes up in bed with a hot mechanic that he's picked up. He's gone
Right.
into a gay bar, and they don't know if they've slept together.
Right.
Uh, and neither of them know, but they form an unlikely friendship.
Yeah.
And there's other storylines that thread through, but he ends up living with this mechanic, and people assume that he is gay, and there's lots of hijinks that go in between that, but it's such a really sweet comedy, and it's very low budget, but it's got real good comedy chops to it.
Yeah.
And the next one is another German comedy called Balls, and it's about a guy that is a baker's son and is in the local football league, and gets drunk after they lost a match, and he ends up snogging the goalkeeper, who's straight. People walk in on him, and then he gets ostracized, so he leaves the town to go to Dortmund, and he sets up a gay football team to play his team because he's been given like 4 weeks to go back, and it's hitting every single gay stereotype under the planet.
Yeah.
So you've got the muscle bears, you've got the twinks, you've got blah blah blah, and they have their football match. So he brings the gays back home to play football, and it's just it again. That's a really really sweet thing.
Yeah.
And they're just very light, frothy comedies, hitting all the stereotypes, but very cute.
What sort of years are they? Are they sort of recent?
I think it's in the 90s. So it's
Okay.
96 for regular guys. I think it was around about the same time for Balls. But you can get them on DVD and what have you. And they're just, I mean, when I have a lazy Sunday afternoon, I'll stick one of them on because it's just very, very cute, and the music quite good. So in Balls, anyway, it's got sort of German interpretations of English pop songs. So
Oh, cool. Oh, I do like a version. Yeah, that's always good when you get a
I've actually got
version.
the soundtrack somewhere
Oh,
on
right.
CD.
Excellent. Oh, brilliant.
Yeah. So yeah, but I've gone through so many of the Kill Your Gays movies, and they just because that was a tradition thing. The gay was always portrayed in the film to
Yeah.
be the tragic figure. It was never the one that came through. And then you had Russell T Davies that did an entire celebration of
Yes.
gay life, and without making it. And then obviously you've got Jonathan Harvey who did Beautiful Thing. So gays on a sort of a council estate in London.
Yeah, yeah, that's one of the. In fact, that was recommended in the first podcast I did. So the first Chaps Out Culture. So I've watched that. That's fantastic.
Well, I think we've wrapped that up. Thank you very much for allowing me to come on and host.
Yeah.
You'll be coming on to my little podcast promote to promote Chaps Out, and I'll go on a few dilemmas on my radio show, so that should be good fun.
Oh yeah. So what's your radio show? Is the Cat?
The radio station's the Cat Radio, and I do the 10 o'clock till 12 on a Friday.
Well, look, Jonathan, I will let you go because you've done an immense job.
Take care. Bye bye.